everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Alien Collection. This time, we are going to be covering the first Alien prequel movie or spin-off, Prometheus. The first movie since the first movie that Ridley Scott is back. He came back to the franchise after what, like 30 some years? 40
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad that Ridley Scott came back and reminded the Alien franchise that it's a horror franchise capable of being actually scary in moments, not for the whole movie.
In
But I
moments.
think Prometheus has so many more moments than any of the other dog shit Alien movies. So, you know what? Ridley Scott coming back, it shows. By the way, I'm Emily. I'm co-hosting this episode. You know who I am.
That's right. I totally forgot to introduce.
It's fine. You know who I am. Don't ask questions.
Honestly, if you're at this point in our franchise, or you know who we are.
Yeah.
If this is the first video you're seeing, I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm mixed on this movie. I don't love it, but I don't hate it as much anymore.
Yeah, the thing with Prometheus, and I said this, I alluded to it a little bit, but I'll give my sort of more extended thoughts here.
Mhm.
Just this sort of a general overview. Prometheus has a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Some of them are good,
Uh-huh.
some of them aren't. However,
Mhm.
I think at the point that we were at franchise-wise with Alien, a movie that had a lot of ideas, even if some of them were bad, was objectively what this franchise needed.
Oh, yeah.
And for better or worse, I do think that Prometheus accomplished that.
I agree. This definitely was the shakeup that this franchise needed. And I gotta give it credit for an Alien movie not to have the xenomorph in it is a risky fucking thing to do. And I appreciate, no, this is Prometheus. This is its own thing. It doesn't have the Alien title above it. So you're not going into this thing thinking oh, is this what I think? Where's the xenomorph? No, you get what you get, with this movie. And honestly, the big alien threat in this are the engineers.
I actually really like them as monsters.
I like them. I'm not a huge fan of the design. I mean, it does look like an H.R. Giger design, which I appreciate. In that,
Yeah.
especially the first one you see in the movie when it takes the goo and then disintegrates and creates humanity. That one's cool. It looks like a spermy white big dude. And then when you get to see them in the future, what I really like is that you don't know where their suits begin or end. They just kind of fuse into their suits.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool design. I appreciate that, but I don't know, I don't know what it is, but the engineer design never wowed me. But it does make sense. Okay, if these things created us, they have to look like us in some way.
Yeah.
And they explained the jockey pilot from the first movie as oh no, that's a helmet. That's not what they actually look like. That's just a helmet. And then if the Nostromo crew were to open up that mask from the first movie, they would have found one of these guys. Which, cool. I think my biggest issue with this movie is that it is connected to the Alien universe. And hear me out. The idea of a space horror movie where it's a mission to discover the people that created us honestly does sound like a really cool sci-fi premise on its own. And I think by shoehorning in alien ideas into this, Weyland-Yutani, weird snake creatures, and some alien iconography, or some alien creature towards the end of the film that really doesn't have much to do with the plot going forward.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
I would have appreciated if they just made this its own thing, but I mean, it's an alien movie, so I can't really say anything against it now. It's just okay, well, here we are with this franchise. It's that we've gone biblical.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting because I do agree in that I think this movie is at its best when it is paying homage to Alien more than it is directly referencing it.
I agree.
And I will bring up my favorite part of this movie, the most memorable thing, perhaps, and one of the most memorable things in the entire franchise to me, which is the laser abortion sequence in this film.
Really good.
It's so fucking visceral and claustrophobic and intense. And that moment in this movie was oh, this is an alien film.
Mhm.
Not because you're explaining the lore of the xenomorphs, but because you're doing a thing that would happen in an alien film in a
Mhm.
way where it's presented the way that it would be.
Mhm.
Right. And that's what I really love is when this movie leans into the like thematic similarities and not like the this is Wayland Yutani. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell we are in the alien universe because
yeah,
we have
yeah.
shown you a logo.
Uh-huh. It's that pseudo-sexual horror that's been present throughout all of the Alien movies, really. I mean, it's also like it's saying something. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
because it is an abortion scene. Like that
Yeah,
is like that
it
on
is.
paper is gonna trigger some people. But
It's very provocative in a way that feels very in line with the spirit of both Giger's approach to art and what
uh-huh.
Ridley Scott wanted to do with the first Alien movie.
Uh-huh. And one of those things that I like a little fucked up but kind of like, oh, that's a neat way to like say something is that pod that she's in is only meant for men,
Yeah.
which like that little detail says so much about this universe that I kind of like that they added that in as this
Hmm.
one little like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and it's
Yeah.
and honestly like of the Alien franchise's main characters, Elizabeth Shaw, played by Noomi Rapace, is my second favorite. I love that she's not just another Ripley clone because I feel like going forward, even in like movies that I do like, they're just like we're just doing Ripley again. The thing about Ripley is that she's always cautious and she's always like, I don't think we should do this. Why aren't you listening to me? Please listen to me. But with Shaw, she's curious. Like, she's the most level headed, curious person in the room. She's like, look, I'm just as curious as the rest of you, but we gotta, like, think about what we're doing here. But, like, she's like, I want to meet my creator. I want to see what this does. I want to see what this does. She, like, I kind of like a character who's just, like, not an idiot about wanting to explore things. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers in this movie.
Here's what I'm going to say on that issue
Okay.
because I I was around for the discourse cycle of this movie,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember that stupid fucking CinemaSins video coming out and being like, guys, it's so funny. All the characters in this movie are so dumb. I am here to report to you that that is every character in every horror movie that has ever been made. Characters in horror movies do not act universally intelligently, and that is because it would be a shit ass movie if all of the characters always made the right choice.
Okay.
I think there's something to be said about certain problems being framed in a way where there are obvious solutions to them the characters don't take, but
Okay.
I don't know. I
I
just got annoyed by that whole discourse. I think
I
it's stupid.
I will only combat you in the idea that like, well, I agree that yeah, fuck CinemaSins. I just fuck them. But in this franchise, we have had even the dumbest of characters in the first movie don't know what they're getting into. So like when a thing opens and he looks over it, he has his helmet on, so you're not expecting the thing to actually like attach to it. So like, and you don't even know if something's supposed to be coming out of that. Characters do things in that movie that make sense. Like, okay, maybe I wouldn't have done that, but like in that circumstance, yeah, that makes sense. Like, okay, maybe this person who's a little bit more afraid or doesn't know what's going on. And plus, the characters in that movie are like supposed to be truckers and coal miners. These characters in this movie are fucking scientists and explorers and geologists. The guy who puts his hand close to a fucking snake creature is a biologist.
Yeah. I think my retort to that, and it falls in line with what I was saying earlier,
Uh huh.
is that I don't think it would make for an interesting movie if the biologist didn't put his hand a little bit too close to the egg. I think I would be bored, which is why I can appreciate that despite some of the characters acting in ways that are stupid, I can accept that as like normal human hubris.
I
Because I have worked with many smart people in my field, and I know that smart people can also make silly decisions that aren't good.
touche. Um, I I don't know, like that scene especially with the snake creature, that was just like way on the nose stupid for me because like the thing looks like a snake, and the guy is a biologist where he's like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't put my hand next to the thing that looks like it's gonna bite and attack me. I have no problem with him being like, hey, let's take pictures of this thing, let's see if we can capture it. Like, okay, he's a biologist, he wants to study this thing. Maybe I don't know, but just like I want to touch it. Like I just it was just so on the nose stupid, and just kind of felt like, okay, characters are just doing things to like progress the plot forward here, so we got to make them do stupid things. Like, especially in a franchise that was built on like characters doing smart things, and this being more of an elevated horror franchise and not your typical like Friday the 13th movie, which honestly, characters doing stupid shit in Friday the 13th, that is the style, that is the tone of that franchise. That's not the tone of this franchise. I know that the last movie we talked about was stupid as all hell, but fuck that movie. But like, at least like the other three up to this point were taking themselves seriously and didn't really have that big of stupid moments. Or at least the scene in Aliens when like you see how inept the military is. At least it's saying something there.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily argue that this isn't saying something. To come to Prometheus's defense for a quick moment.
Uh-huh.
The team of corporate researchers who get sent out to discover humanity's origins immediately being like, oh, I can touch things and nothing bad will happen, and acting in ways that are stupid because they are succumbing to their own folly does not necessarily not track logically in my brain.
I'll give you
right?
that.
Like...
I'll give you that. I will give you that. I'm not going to surrender my opinion because I like.
No, you don't have to. I'm just saying my opinion is that it's not an invalid criticism, but I think it is overblown by that stupid fucking YouTube video.
Yeah,
it's
like,
that kind of intellectual superiority that people get into in horror movie discourse that really fucking annoys me. No. Well, I wouldn't have done that. And I'm like, great, that's awesome.
I agree with what you're saying there. I think it's, you know what? I think it just comes down, I don't think it's a well-written scene. Like,
yeah,
I think
I agree. And that's what I said earlier is I think that if you're gonna target an issue with this movie, I think the much more valid issue to target is that it feels like Ridley Scott doesn't know how to escalate the stakes in this movie without the characters making bad decisions.
That is it. Like, because the things that work for me in this movie are when like characters like David, who I do want to talk about, are manipulating things behind the scenes. And that's the kind of thing I like, where it's like, okay, that's why this is happening. And like, he can use their stupidity for what he wants to do because he's a curious motherfucker. Like, he's just like, I want to see how this plays out. I wanted more of that stuff because when that happens in the movie, I like it. But in this movie, but for that scene specifically, David has no involvement with that. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, so this is literally just characters doing stupid things for stupid reasons. And honestly, okay, if we wanted to say, Rick, well, she should have run left or right. I don't give a fuck. When she's like, sure, it was dumb watching it in the movie, and I'm like, oh, why didn't you run this way? But fine, that's it. We've covered it. We talked about it
100%. And again, that's one of those things that I'm getting at, where it's like, and I mentioned this, I don't think it's an issue really with the characters acting stupid, because I think it makes sense for them to act stupid. What I don't think makes sense is how frequently they are put in situations where their stupidity is the only thing that poses a danger to them.
Exactly.
That I think is the larger issue. Because again, especially in a movie like this, it's not out of character for these people to make bad choices. It just feels like their bad choices are more frequently what they're up against than the actual movie monsters. And that is less interesting in a franchise that has staked itself on movie monsters.
Yeah, because the threat that's happening to these people are ultimately brought upon by themselves. Like, or at least David at some points. Like, David's like, okay, I want to see what this goo does. Let's mess with the goo. And like, that whole subplot I really liked, which leads to the abortion scene and which leads to the end of the movie. Like, like all that stuff worked for me. But like, again, the alien snake thing, the zombie that just randomly appears out of nowhere, played by the guy from Mission Impossible 5. Yeah, like that stuff, I'm like, okay, like interesting, but like, I don't know. And then my favorite part is like at the end of the movie when they like open up the pod and you can see the engineer. He's just like, okay, who are you? Like, he's just so stunned, like, huh? Like, who are you guys? And like, all right, I'll rip this guy's head off and I'll smash it with this other guy who's old as fuck. All right, enough about stupidity.
I will say, that Michael Fassbender notwithstanding, I do think it's a brilliant performance and it's a character that is really interesting.
I love the David character. He might be my favorite character in the franchise.
He's up there.
Like, yeah, he's definitely up. You know what I like about him? He's a reoccurring villain, which you don't
Hmm.
get in these movies because the xenomorph is like, even though the xenomorphs all look the same for the most part, they're not
Yeah.
personal. Like, the only one that really kind of like goes in between movies is the one from the first movie because of what they do in Romulus
Right.
with it, where it's like, okay, that one has a bit more character to it now because they've done something more with it. And who knows, maybe Alien Earth, you'll be like, oh, that one. But with David, you can actually explore some really cool things. And androids have always been one of the more interesting characters in this franchise, like Ash,
I
Bishop.
I was gonna say I do feel a little bit like David was Ridley Scott trying to revisit Ash because he realized killing him off was a bad choice.
I mean,
Not even a bad choice, but like
he.
that was a character that you could have done more with, and I
Uh-huh.
think David takes the
Oh, yeah.
archetype that Ash fills and expands it in a really cool way.
I love that like there's no like real villain turn for him. There's no moment where it's like I am now the villain, like I am now doing evil shit. It's all like very gradual stuff, like how
Yeah,
characters start to act with him, like how Shaw's the only person that actually gives him kindness, and then at some point he's just like, you know what? I just want to see how what goes on here. Like I'm built to be curious. And if we're here to meet our creators, let's see how far we can go. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of this goo and see what happens. Just to see, just to test. And then it just causes so many bad things to happen. He's like, oh, fascinating. And I like that. Like, it doesn't come across as malicious until you see the repercussions.
yeah,
And I love that about his character. And I think, again, like, Michael Fassbender does a really good job of, like, making this emotionless character have some kind of weird soul to him. Like, even David himself is like, why am I feeling this way?
yeah.
And I love that about David. And going forward, like, in the next movie, I have a lot more to say about David, but, like, I just love his character in this movie. And, like, I even like at the end when he's just ahead, he's just like, why are you helping me? I've done so much bad things to you. You have no reason to help me. And she's like, well, I mean, we're the last of the Prometheus crew. We need to figure out a way to like go meet our creators.
Yeah.
Why bother going back home now? Like, let's just go full send it. Honestly, another thing I don't really like about this movie is that like it feels incomplete in my opinion.
It
It
does.
it
There's
asks
a hollowness to it.
yeah, it asks a really big question, and by the end of it, it's like continue in part two. I'm like, oh okay,
And,
all right,
without getting too much into the next movie,
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily feel like a lot of those ideas have yet to go anyway
exactly.
in this franchise.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just feels a little bit hollow in that way. Of like, okay, I don't really. I don't know. Like, you feel really incomplete at the end of this movie, unlike you do with like the other Alien movies. Even the first one, where you're just like, I don't even know what the hell that thing was, but at least we shot it off into space. And this, you're like, I guess we found our creators, but why do they hate us? Where did they come from? I guess this was just a military installation.
Right.
like okay, and now for fuck's sake, now this weird alien creature just popped out of the engineer, and it's like, okay, what does that say?
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, like it's over ambitious, but it never really goes anywhere.
I agree. I think my general take on Prometheus
Mm-hmm.
is that it is a deeply flawed film
Oh yeah.
that still comes together because of who is at the helm. Right? Like
Okay. Yeah.
truly indelibly, this is a Ridley Scott ass movie
Oh
for all
yeah.
of the good and bad that comes with that.
Yep.
And ultimately, even in the face of other movies in the franchise like Aliens, in my opinion, being better movies,
Mm-hmm.
this feels like the movie that is the most similar to the original movie and its vision for this world,
I can.
if that makes sense.
No, I understand what you mean. And one thing I do really like about this movie is that they, instead of feeling that claustrophobic feel with the other Alien movies, they've like, okay, what makes this movie feel scary is that it's this barren fucking like just like flat dirt, hollow feels, and it just feels empty, and it just is like that's scary because it's just like
Mhm.
this dark world where you're like, if you walk too far out one way, you're gonna lose your fucking mind. Which I really
Right.
like about like the visual style that he gives this movie. Like honestly, like this is a very pretty looking film. I'll give it that.
Oh yeah.
Like the the technology, the suits, everything looks really nice, but also the camera work is fantastic. Like the ending with both the ships colliding into each other looks amazing. And that is
Hmm.
all Scott. That's all Ridley. Like I've got to give him credit for that. Like it's a very good looking film. But that doesn't save a movie for me. It's just like, oh, okay, you just gave it a very pretty paint job.
Yeah.
But yeah,
My take on it, like I said, is that I think it has a lot of problems, but I would be lying to you if I said I didn't come out of it having enjoyed a lot of it.
I was not looking forward to watching this movie again, and then after I watched it, I was like, you know what? I don't hate it as much. I kind of was just like,
Yeah.
I enjoy this for what it is, and like I had fun with some things. I got really annoyed at some other parts, obviously. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that was pretty fun. Like, I can't wait to see what they do next. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I really got to say about this movie. I think we've gone on a little long with this one. And to be fair, it is Prometheus.
Yeah.
Like, again, like compared to the other Alien movies, except for like the first two, this one has some meat on it you can really dig into.
I don't think any movie would have this much to talk about if it were holistically bad.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's my final conclusion.
Oh, yeah. I very much agree. I think we could wrap this up there. If you enjoyed us talking about Prometheus, stay tuned for the next video, which we are going to be talking about Alien Covenant, all
Oh yeah.
leading up to our review of Alien Earth. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and share.
Subscribe to our Patreon so that Max can afford a McDouble. He deserves it. He works very hard.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
I'm
Goodbye.
scared how you actually know my McDonald's order, but thank you.
That was just a soul read.